We don't need an introduction. No introduction necessary.
No frills. Only.
It's been long enough.
Wait.
There's beer and soda in the fridge, Indigo.
Clink.
Indigo,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Happy to be here.
every week.
You are here every week.
I'm a resident.
For anybody that has no idea what is going on or what you are watching, this is me taking advantage of my platform and my podcast.
I don't know which camera to look at.
We're in this one right now.
This one. Go on.
Okay. This is me taking advantage of my podcast to promote my new band with my good friend, Indigo. Indigo has been wanting to come on the show for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know why I had to beg you when we are biffles, but
I have very rudely not brought Indigo on the show, but I was always like, hey, when the time is right, the time is right. And now here we are. So everybody, make some noise for my friend, Indigo.
applause. I've never been applause buttoned before. Wow.
So I'm going to put myself on blast here.
Put yourself on blast.
I have no idea how to pronounce your last name.
Oh my God. So my last name, which actually, okay, to be fair, a lot of people get wrong, is Baloch. I've had a lot of people that I'm close with pronounce it wrong. So that's fine. Actually, I think Amanda did the same thing. Like I'd known her for years, and I think it was when I was either on Ghouls or at some event or something, and she was like, oh my God, I'm going to be real. I have no idea how to say your last name. And I was like, that's fine. But yeah, it's Baloch. Too close. It's Baloch. It's actually a really common Pakistani last name. So if you're Pakistani or you know anything about our culture, you'll know that, which is kind of cool. A lot of people want to say Baloch, which I hate. I had a teacher in middle school who said Blaylock, and I was like, where are you getting the other L?
Wow.
Like, that's real. You really didn't even try there. But yeah, but it's Baloch.
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 My last name is pronounced how, not Howie. Some people
Not
do that,
Howie.
but it's okay.
Thinking.
So today is a bit of a celebration. Me and Indigo have completed our EP, the first half of our full length.
Yeah.
A Lesson in Patience is the name of the EP.
Yeah.
It's going to be dropping on October 30th, Devil's Night, next week. The day that we are airing this, it is October 23rd, which is also my birthday.
It's his birthday.
So it's not my birthday now, but when you're watching this, it is my birthday. So I'm having a beer now for myself in the future.
Celebratory birthday beer.
That's some real Bill and Ted shit.
Booyah. Cowabunga.
We are doing a live stream
Yeah.
on Friday, October 30th.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a live stream. Since we can't do
super cool.
shows, we can't have an album release show.
Yeah.
So we're doing what everybody else is doing. We're doing a live stream.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear the EP, well, realistically, you can listen to the thing probably before the live stream because the live stream will be in the evening.
True.
And the EP will have been released during the day. But if you want to watch us play the songs and, you know, see us hard at work doing our darndest, you can check that out. It's going to be on our Facebook page, which I feel like I should pop over to our YouTube right now. And we also have this music video for this track, Liminal, that we just recently put out. I have some of it playing on the screen right now. This was shot by our friend, Nathan King, and starring his lovely better half, Heather Taylor.
Heather's so beautiful and cool.
And you
nice.
brought somebody to the party as well.
Yeah, and I brought Eric. He's very sweet. He gets possessed, and I have to kiss him.
So yeah, we've been like pretty hard at work, I'd say, over the past year, putting this project together, writing songs, planning videos, and recording. And there's so much that we can get into. And it's really hard for me being a host / band member. So I'm going to do my best to pretend that I'm not in the band for at least 10 minutes. And I'm going to interview Indigo as Indigo.
Okay.
So Indigo, let's talk about you and your experience just getting into music in general.
Okay.
Where did it all start?
Well, I started writing songs when I was a little kid. I would sing in the car to my parents, and I'd make up songs about us going home to our cats. You can ask my mom, she'll tell you. But yeah, I'd be like...
So nothing has changed?
No. Yeah, I had these 2 cats growing up, Cricket and Turbo, and Turbo was a tuxedo cat, and so I would make up songs about Cricket being this beautiful lady and Turbo being this gentleman, and they'd be like at a ball together, and it'd be very dramatic. But yeah. And then I just started writing more as I got older. And
so like what happened that shifted into something that would be, let's call it moody?
Moody.
Because I imagine, I mean, you're pretty moody now, and I don't think much is, that's probably where it started.
Well, my parents are goth.
Did you go through an emo phase? Oh, your parents are goth.
Yeah, my parents raised me on like the Smiths, The Cure, Depeche Mode, Cranberries, Cardigans.
You know, that's the funny thing about someone your age, because you're in your mid-20s now, right?
Yeah, 26.
So you're 26. So like when your parents were, you know, in their either late teens or early 20s, whenever they had you, it's like, that's what was going on in music. And it's so funny because like this is sort of similar with me, because my dad was listening to like Metallica and Megadeth and shit. So you just had like the inverse. You had like the goth side from the same generation.
Yeah. And I mean, like when I was growing up, my dad would still go out to dance nights and stuff. So a lot of my childhood was hearing him play Depeche Mode in the bathroom and stuff. And as he's like getting ready to go out. And yeah, I mean, like some of my first crushes were like Morrissey and Robert Smith. And my mom and I would just like fawn over them, and Bowie. And yeah, so... Yeah, I just grew up listening to really good music because of my parents. Garbage the band. You know, I could go on and on, like the list of great music that they both introduced me to. And I feel very lucky for that. But so I think in general, the music I write has a really broad range because it just kind of depends on what I'm inspired by at the time. So like, yeah, this project is definitely very much in line with like goth stuff, but I'd say other projects I've been in have been more indie or alternative, kind of like lighter stuff. And I'd say, I'd say like the solo stuff I write myself, I guess, like just for myself, is more folky even, you know, more like soft girl, like Phoebe Bridgers kind of soccer mommy kind of stuff.
Sure. So we tapped into something here. It's like
I'm easy to tap.
It's like the
I didn't mean it that way. I'm just an open book. Should have just said I'm an open book.
So the cool thing about all of that is that you didn't have to like go through some weird backdoor channels or seedy characters to find out about good music, because it happens with some people where a lot of times the friends that you have in high school, the only good thing that comes out of it is your taste in music.
Yeah.
But you were already listening to this stuff as a kid, So you didn't need to hang out with any shady kids to already have a shady influence.
I mean, I still hung out with shady
I'm sure
kids.
you fucking did.
but like, I mean, okay, yeah, I would say like, but so yeah, I mean, like I grew up listening to that, and then, like my teen years, started getting into like, you know, all of like the emo scene stuff that you and I bonded over, like Paramore, Panic at the Disco, Metro Station, all those bands. Although I would say it's hard to pin down my taste in music, because it's so at the same time that I've been thinking about this a lot recently. It's like at the same time that I was listening to all of those emo bands and you know, dressing all scene and everything, but choppy bangs and stuff. My Hot Topic wardrobe. At the same time, I was also listening to a lot of like popular alternative indie music. So I don't know. I mean, we all contain multitudes. Let's be real. And I'm a Gemini. But yeah, so I mean, the thing is, like, even in high school, it'd be like, you know, one day I'd be wearing really like totally decked out Hot Topic corset, fishnets kind of outfit, you know, and then the next day I'd be wearing like a sundress and listening to The Killers or Peter, Bjorn and John and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just every day I think that we can be a new person, and I still feel that way. So
did you ever have a moment where you felt like you had this teenage rebellion from your parents and their interests, and you were like, I'm not interested in any of this goth stuff, or like, that's my parents' music?
Honestly, no. If anything, I think I leaned into it more, and I think that it was good. I'm very lucky. Looking back on it, I'm like very lucky that my parents had good taste, in my opinion, had taste that I ended up liking and was never like embarrassed of or anything. And if anything, like it was just cool, because then we could bond over that and like share things with each other. So it was like, you know, in high school, at one point my mom was just like, it's time for you to find out about Rocky Horror Picture Show. And my mom is super cool, and she's like played Magenta before, and I actually played Magenta at Chatham, and it felt really cool to have that connection with her. But yeah, so she was like the cool mom that like let all of my queer friends hang out at our house if their parents were crummy about it, and she would take us to the Hollywood Theater to go see Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, in the dead of night, and would let me have cool goth parties and stuff and never questioned it. Yeah, I feel very lucky. Very, very lucky.
Nice. So my thing with that is because I had like a brief moment where I felt like, you know, Iron Maiden was my dad's music, and I was like, I needed something that was my own, you know? So it's like, no, I'm going to listen to Korn, and I'm going to listen to Rage Against the Machine, and I'm going to listen to Green Day and the Smashing Pumpkins, and none of that makes sense. But it's like, at the time, like those were all like, that was all what was cool and on the radio, what kids in school were listening to. And I love all those bands still.
Yeah, they're still good.
If you look back, the stuff that Iron Maiden was doing in the mid 90s is pretty dog shit. So it's like not super surprising that like you would fall out of it. But I ended up coming back around to it, you know, like I was like 15. And I was like, oh yeah, Iron Maiden. I remember this. And now it's like, you know, I love all that shit.
Yeah.
It was so interesting though, because like my background with anything goth didn't really happen until a lot later. I was always familiar that it existed.
Yeah.
But like I was brought up on like heavy metal and guitar music, and it was never like, don't listen to that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like around me a whole lot until until high school, and you start to meet more people and like,
Right.
a friend. Actually, my first time with anything somewhat goth would have been Industrial and KMFDM.
Okay.
Because they had a song that was in the Street Fighter 2 anime.
Okay.
So it all ties together, you know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah. It is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, anime can get you goth too.
Truth. So what would you think about if I threw the ball in your court and you asked me some questions about my life?
Okay. All right. I feel like you've already told me this, but who's your favorite turtle?
Oh, it's funny. I've answered this question at least 2 or 3 times recently, like on episodes that haven't even come out yet. That's how recent it is. So
Okay.
I don't know what this is, but I'll gladly answer it. How about
I
you?
can come up with something else.
Well, no, it's fine. I'll answer it.
Okay.
I'll answer it.
Okay.
The short answer is never Leonardo. Well,
Okay.
long answer, as a kid, I was a Mikey. In my
We have talked about
20s,
this.
I was definitely a Raph.
Mm-hmm.
And in my 30s, where I now exist, I found myself to be quite the Donatello,
Okay.
but never Leonardo.
Never Leonardo.
Never.
That son of a bitch.
What you?
I feel like a Mikey girl.
I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I'm a Mikey girl.
I love Mikey. I miss my Mikey side. I don't miss my Raph.
Brian, the Raph years.
Riff Raff, straight up.
Ooh. Okay, what's another question? I'm just looking around the room. Yeah, okay. So like MySpace night, you and I have talked about like emo scene music. I've been waiting all day to bring this up.
Oh, fuck.
The new MGK is fire. It's so good. And I'm here for the 2020 emo revival. It is all we have. It's the only good thing that can come out of this year. That's not true, but it may be. We'll see. But like people are reviving scene on TikTok, and now MGK is bringing it back. He's dating Megan Fox. We're all just going back in time. Thoughts?
Well, the couple songs that I have heard
That I've played for you.
that you've played for me, I'm not fans of the music. Like, I totally get, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's dog shit. There's one thing if I was like, fuck that, that's bad music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can hate something, but still understand why you like it.
Like Vampire Weekend.
Sure.
had
So
that,
it's like,
yeah.
I don't think that the music is objectively bad.
Okay.
And like, I was interested enough to even dig into it. And I like read up on like who played on the album, who
Yeah.
produced it and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I don't like any of the bands that the people involved with this album are involved with.
Okay.
So why
So
it's
it
like, I
adds
don't
up
like the
then.
Interrupters. I don't like Blink-182. I don't like the Transplants. I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan. But
I'm sorry.
all
Can we
of
go
the-
back to the part where you said you don't like Blink-182? You're a phony. You shouldn't be running MySpace now. I should be.
okay. I mean, nobody's running MySpace
I
Night
know,
anymore.
I just got really sad thinking about it after I,
like-
said that.
And the other thing too is like, I feel like I can like songs, but not like a band.
Okay, yeah, no,
You know
would
what I
agree
mean?
with
Like,
that.
you can't like, if I was going to pick any Blink-182 album, sure. Like, like Take Off Your Pants, Enema of the State, even some of Dude Ranch, all that stuff is cool. But like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like just put it on and listen to Blink-182. But
Okay.
like, I get that like it has a vibe and it has a mood, and I appreciate the songs because there is nostalgia attached
Yeah.
to a lot of that music.
Yeah, I
but,
lose my mind when I hear Always. I'm just like, oh, the nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm just not like a fan of those bands, but I do respect those bands.
Yeah.
So I think
Okay.
to answer your question, to go back, I like, and I think about, I'm such
The video with Maiden is so good.
I said that. I said that the video is cute. The video is cute. I'm really happy.
They don't know that you said it was cute.
I think the video is cute. I think it's awesome that MGK is kind of back in his. I just realized my seat's way up higher than yours. I'm going to drop that down. I was like, I look like a fucking giant.
You are a giant.
I think that the video is cute. I'm really happy to see him being himself. I think he's being undeniably himself. He needs to keep on touring with Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, playing that set. Like, that's awesome. I think that's great for him. He seems happy. I'm sure that the people that like him, like you, are excited.
Honestly, I was not a fan until now. I never dove into his music. And then my friend Riley was like, have you heard the new MGK? And I was like, no, why would I? And then I looked into it. I was like, oh my God. And then I saw Megan Fox and I was like, ah. And then I found out that they were both Taurus. They're both Taurus and they're dating. They're a double Taurus couple, which is like, how can I just be in that? I'm a simp for Taurus. I am. And I don't deny it.
I'm happy for them. And I think that it's great that they're putting out music that is positive. They're having fun.
Yeah.
And I fuck with that energy.
Okay.
The music itself is just not for me. It's just not my thing.
Okay.
But it's so interesting because I don't know. I find that with a lot of that stuff in that era, even the stuff that would be MySpace Night adjacent stuff, like at the time that stuff was happening, I didn't give a fuck about that stuff as much in the time. But later I started to appreciate it because the songs existed and I attached memories and things to those songs where they actually meant something to me more a decade later.
Yeah.
Or I was just able to appreciate them for what they were a decade later. Like bands like Cute Is What We Aim For.
Love it.
They are so unapologetically of the time, but really good songwriters, very catchy songs.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of that band, but I would say that they write damn good songs.
Yeah, they do. That's just
Paramore, however.
Flawless.
Top tier.
Iconic. Every year they get better.
I think Paramore was probably the band for me that kind of opened up the door and made me give a lot of those bands from that era a second chance.
Okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing that I have always found interesting about Paramore and have respected about them is that they have changed their sound over the years, undeniably so. But at the same time, there's still a core energy to it that remains. So it's I feel like every time they change their sound, they open up the ability to pull in a new fan base without losing the one that they have because there's still that core energy to it.
Yeah.
There's still Haley's voice, which is incredible. And so people come for that and they stay for that. And while they change up the music, people stay on and more people come in. One of the times that I've seen them live was when they were on tour with No Doubt. Incredible show. 2 incredible bands. That was another one that my parents raised me on was No Doubt. So, seeing them together was this great blend of this is a band that I've grown up listening to and admiring, plus a band that I've found in my teen years and have started admiring. And I do think that tour with No Doubt had an effect on their music. Because if you listen to a lot of their newer stuff post that tour, I feel there's a lot of that Gwen Stefani sound in their music.
I think the thing with Paramore that maybe if there are any naysayers of the band or people that maybe like the band in their Riot era but haven't stuck on board, Paramore has always been a pop rock band. And I think to classify them as anything else is mischaracterizing them.
Okay.
But the thing is that they just stay relevant with what is popular in pop rock music at the time.
True.
And when Riot came out, that's what the fuck it was. That's what
Right.
the scene was. It was all bands like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then when Brand New Eyes came out, it was like those bands got a little bit older and they were writing stuff that was a little bit sadder and a little bit darker, and it got kind of weird.
Well, and also
then,
I feel like Brand New Eyes is kind of indie almost. It started to leak more into that early 2000 indie sound.
sure, Brand New Eyes, yeah. Brand New Eyes sounds like if Circa Survive and Death Cab for Cutie made an album together.
Yes.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Like they could totally just have toured with Death Cab that year.
Yeah.
Did they?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Google it, listeners.
Or even like what Me Without You was starting to do at the
Love
time.
Me Without You.
And there was like all that like artsy indie stuff, and Paramore is kind of tapping into that. And then I could keep going through, but they've just kind of rode the wave with what was current by maintaining their own thing, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been different people in and out of the band,
yeah, right.
but I love Paramore.
Me too.
So before we wrap up our conversation, not in general, but our conversation on
The podcast
scene
is
stuff,
over.
I have a gift for you.
Is this what Stacy was talking about?
Yes, this is what Stacy. I love you, Stacy, but I was trying to keep this 1000% a surprise.
Who's Gerald?
It's still a surprise. Gerald has nothing to do with this. There's no Gerald,
what?
but maybe it. Okay, so
Here's what happened is I brought cookies that had eyeballs in them, and I told Stacy that she could name them, and then I was like helping her name some, and I named one Gerald, and then she like grabbed Brian and was like, "Did you give her Gerald yet?" or something like that, and I was like, "What?"
okay, so it was recently Stacy's birthday weekend. Stacy, my girlfriend, Stacy Sullen Whimsy, famous world-renowned pottery artist.
She's amazing and so beautiful.
We were out of town, and while we were out of town, we stopped in a couple thrift stores, and I found something.
Is it haunted?
I found something in a thrift store. It could be haunted.
Welcome to Thrifty Podcast. I'm
Yes.
Toddy Tondera.
But this is for you from the thrift store, just because I saw it and I was like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to give it to Indigo. And I thought, what better opportunity to give it to you than on a live stream? We're not a live
Am I
stream.
gonna cry? I'm a Cancer cusp. I might cry. Now I understand it's not Gerald, it's Gerard. No, you don't understand because I am a twihard. As in, I am a huge fan of the Twilight series. And I just found out from a PowerPoint party with some friends that Gerard Way inspired Edward Cullen. Did I already tell you that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like went on this tirade. And apparently Stephanie Meyer asked him if he would play Edward Cullen, and he said no.
Let's see. Can I get this?
He said absolutely not.
So yeah, I found this in a Goodwill in Ohio.
I love it.
It was $1.
I'm not okay.
And I was like, yeah, this needs to, it's the same picture on both sides. Why? Why does this exist? I don't know.
Because it's perfect. Wait, no, you don't understand now that I'm thinking about it. I have a mug that is Robert Pattinson's face in a tile print. And I could have both of them and then have the inspiration for Edward Cullen and Edward Cullen in 2 mugs, one in each hand. And that's exactly what I'm going to take a picture of tonight.
Just wanted to let you know that you're in our thoughts.
And prayers.
Even if we're miles and miles and miles away, you're always with us.
Also, like, why this picture? Not that it's a bad picture of him, but it's just like specifically from like a live show.
Yeah, I mean, that's like somebody's handmade mug.
Someone said, "This is my favorite picture of him, and I need to look at it every morning when I have my coffee," and then discard of it years later at a thrift store.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, it's yours now. So happy birthday. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary. Happy celebration of our EP release.
but COVID. This is safe. How many strangers do you think have touched this?
I don't think anybody has touched that. So, what do you think the experience is of being in a Goodwill and that being the one thing that you buy from the store?
It would be the one thing I would buy from the store. I think that if I were the clerk at the store, I'd be like, right on, man. Yeah. I see where your passions lie.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
So with this,
I just love looking at it.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about.
Anything. We like so many things. Spooky things. Spooky season. You edit this, right?
Normally I don't.
No. Okay.
I mean,
I prompted myself. I came with prompts. Can I talk about this? No.
I mean, if you want to, it might be too off base.
See, this is why I'm asking you if you edit it.
I mean, I can edit.
Watch Lovecraft Country. I love it. It's so good. Watch it. Listen to the podcasts about it and use the study guide and learn. And Black Lives Matter and learn. This is so great. And the show is really great. And it's all I've been consuming lately. Besides the new MGK. Boom.
In terms of
our band
and your role in this band.
Yes.
Some people have made comments.
Do they hate me?
No. Give me a chance. No. Hey, calm down. Some people have made comments, and I've made these observations as well in regards to you and how good you are in front of the camera.
Meanwhile, I'm like, you edit this, right? You're like, you're so good in front of the camera. I'm like, you edit this and we'll cut this out, right? I'm really good on the spot.
No, but you have done really well in the music video. You did an awesome job. And some of the other things that we have filmed that I'm not going to talk about yet.
They're secrets.
You've done a really good job.
Thank you.
And I'm curious about your experience in front of a camera and how you've gotten so comfortable, because I'm like 10,000 years older than you, and not that age has anything to do with it, but I feel like you're a million years ahead of me in front of a camera. While it's arguable that I have maybe spent a lot more time in front of a camera than you. Not that it's a competition. I just see somebody that's really comfortable, and I feel like I'm super not comfortable still to this day.
Well, I have done some acting. Like I would say I've done more stage acting than I've done video acting. But I have done some video stuff. Mostly I had a friend that used to live in Pittsburgh and doesn't anymore. Steph Koza, love you. And we used to live together, and she's an amazing YouTuber. She used to work for BuzzFeed. And so we made some videos together, and they were super fun. And I guess beyond that, I don't know. I think that once again, I've done a lot more stage acting than I've done anything on video, but I think that it is similar and it translates. And I think that I'm also a freak and a nerd. And if you know me, you know one of the things I love most in this world is Shakespeare. And so I did my undergraduate thesis on Shakespeare and translating Shakespeare into modern times and making it more palatable to younger audiences. But so as growing up as a Shakespeare nerd, that's another thing. So my parents were like, in this house, we listen to Kate Bush and Depeche Mode, and we read Shakespeare nonstop. But like not in like an annoying way, just that like they made reading really fun for me. And once again, like that's something I'm really grateful for that I know not everyone has. But both of my parents are avid readers, and so they raised me reading a lot of older stuff, and especially Shakespeare. But the thing is that's so important about Shakespeare that a lot of people don't know, and that's why they hate it. And that was kind of like what my thesis was about, was like, I'll talk to friends and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't stand Shakespeare. I hate it. It's so boring and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, how are you consuming it, right? So like, are you reading it on the page, or are you reading it out loud? Are you seeing it on stage? And the answer is that a lot of people are just reading it on the page, and that's how they were taught it in school. And that's why they think they hate Shakespeare. But if you read it aloud or you see it live, you see how incredible and beautiful it is. And so being a huge nerd, when I want to reread Shakespeare, which is often, I will just perform it in my bedroom by myself and play all of the parts. So, because it makes me really happy. There's like nothing that gives me such a boost when I'm low than... Actually, okay, that's not true. There's two things. If I'm really sad, there are only two things that can pull me out of it. Reading Shakespeare loudly alone in my bedroom, or watching Nick Cage movies. Specifically Moonstruck, which is my phone background and has been for about 2 years now. And I get a lot of comments on it. But yeah, so I think that performing Shakespeare in my bedroom for many years definitely helps with acting, because and this is me being a total Shakespeare stan and trying to make everyone else one too. The reason why Shakespeare still exists and holds up so well is because he created these very, very deep, complex characters that are so real. And so if you want to, as an actor, really harness human emotion and really become a character, then you have to start with Shakespeare. And that's just something that I think any actor should practice if they want to learn to be more comfortable shifting into someone else's skin. So yeah. So while I may not have as much experience on camera or on stage, I think that reading Shakespeare alone in my bedroom to myself and my cat is practice enough.
That makes all the sense in the world. I have not partaken in any of that. I'm actually a really shitty reader. I don't read.
I'll read it to you. I will just come here. Band practice is now me reading Shakespeare to you and Stacy every week.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever we were starting to get the band together, another thing that really impressed me, and this is just, I guess, becoming the Indigo Appreciation Hour,
I cry.
is just you have a really strong work ethic that I find very respectful, and I find very helpful for me as somebody who also, I mean, I don't know if I have a good work ethic or not. I like to think I do. I think
you do.
I'm also, I'm criminally modest, I suppose, but you have a very good work ethic, and it was really cool when we were starting this project just because of how quickly everything came together. And I feel like we've done a couple interviews now, and we're answering some questions for other people.
Yeah.
And they're asking us things, and it feels like kind of weird to be like, yeah, everything came together really easily and there were no problems. It feels like that's just something that people would say. And but that's really how it was. And trust me, it's like, I have a life full of problems, and I'm sure that you're not much different in some regard, because we're human. Life's just full of fucking problems. but there really haven't been many for us. Honestly, the only snag that has been
COVID.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
But that was the whole world. That wasn't unique to us.
We had no control
that barely
over that.
That doesn't even count. Yeah, a pandemic doesn't count as a stall for your band. So things have been really smooth, and the point that I was getting at was just like, it's really cool to be able to work with somebody who is like, yeah, I want to do this, and then they do it. Because like I had no idea what to expect. Like, what did you expect from this? Because we had talked about it online through Facebook comments, which is like, that means nothing. And then like a couple months later, whenever you came back home, because you were in Florida at the time.
Yeah, I had a mental breakdown. Normalize mental health. I think that it is important that we destigmatize depression and anxiety. And that's something that I take very seriously. But yeah, if you are not doing well, ask for help. It's really hard, but you need to do it, and take time for yourself to try to heal. And I think that we live in such a horrifying capitalist society that pushes us to work nonstop and only be productive. And if we can't function in it and we aren't taking care of ourselves and we need help and we need to take a break, we feel like we can't because society pushes us in a way that we can't do that. And we need to focus on mutual aid and taking care of our loved ones and asking for help when we need it. And that's all I'm going to say. Love y'all. Focusing.
You came back from Florida.
I did.
And we met up.
Yes.
We had a couple beers.
Row House, Beerport.
Yeah. We had a couple beers at Beerport. Row House. We love you. Shout outs.
You so much. I miss you so much.
And all we did was like basically talk for like a couple hours about like, hey, this is what I'm into. What are you into? Like,
I think we just showed each other pictures of our scene selves. Was one thing that we did. I was like, look at me when I listen to MSI. And you were like, look at me when I listen to MSI. And then I told you about how I had a huge crush on Mason Musso, and that took about an hour. 3 hours, and one whole hour was dedicated to my teenage crush on Mason Musso. Still would tap that. I take it back.
All right. Okay. So
focusing.
After that conversation, after all of that, like, what were you expecting, if anything? Like, what were your takeaway thoughts after meeting with us? Because that's the other thing, too, for people that are, like, watching this that, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, whenever we announced we were doing the band, were like, what the fuck? Because, like,
we didn't really tell anybody.
We didn't talk about it at all for like a year. And also like we don't really hang out. Like we're friends.
Yeah.
Like online friends, and we would see each other at like events and things, at shows or DJ nights and things like that. But we're not like
we were just like secretly hanging out every week, having dinner and making sounds.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, but at the time before all that, before we were like, you know, getting together every week and really starting to get to know each other, like you didn't fucking know me at all. So I'm curious to know like what your thoughts were like prior to me sending over the first track. Like what were you expecting, if anything at all?
Well, I'm going to be honest, because I didn't know you. I wasn't sure if it was really going to happen. So here's the thing I'll say about my work ethic is that I'm always down for anything. So all the time people will be like, oh my God, what if we did this? Like, what if we made this short film? Or what if we did this art show together? Or, you know, what if we put together this zine or something? And I'm always down. And that's something I'll say about myself. I'm always down for whatever it is, happy to do it, happy to contribute in any way that I can. You just have to tell me what you need, and also be down to follow through on it. So that's the thing is like, I think that all the time people will reach out to me about doing projects and I like keep a list. Like I'm a psychopath. I keep a list. I do. And I keep a list of things just because I do want to follow back on them if, people don't follow through with it and stuff. I want to trace back and be like, hey, did you still want to do that? But like anytime anyone says a cool idea, like we're just hanging out and we're spitballing and they say something that sounds like it could be really cool, I try to make a note of it. And I'm like, okay, if I don't hear from them in a week or two, I'll circle back and be like, hey, this actually seems really cool. Do you want to still do it? But half of the time I'd say people don't follow through, but you did. So you sent me, should we stop? That was good?
No.
Okay. Okay.
This camera did turn off, but I'll fix it in a minute.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's 100% all that needed to happen was that you pitched the idea of making music together. And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. And then you actually sent me stuff to work with. And I was like, let's do it. And that's like, I mean, that's the thing. And that's all it takes is like, I'm excited for any new creative project anytime. And it's just a matter of if the other person is committed to it, and you have been. I do also respect your work ethic incredibly. I think you and I have talked multiple times how we're both better on deadlines. If we give ourselves like a specific day to have something done by, we're more likely to get it done. And I think that's been true. Every time that we've been like maybe taking a minute with something and then we're like, okay, no, we need a deadline, and we give ourselves one, then we get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think we're good at giving ourselves plans for when we meet up and being like, okay, here's what we need to have accomplished, and then actually doing it. And now we've built in this kind of tender friendship into it as well, and how like having dinner together and like having our little family with Stacy. At least that's how I look at it. And it's just really nice. It's my favorite part of the week is band practice.
Aw.
It's the truth.
That's so sweet.
I could have a terrible, terrible week. And then I come over here and I have dinner with you and Stacy, and then we work on stuff together, and then everything doesn't feel so bad.
Well, I'm glad that we can help and in the terrible department.
Make things more terrible.
Yeah. Well, make things, I guess I said that wrong, but you know what I mean. So, I mean, it's like your sentiments pretty much mirror mine exactly, because I really didn't know what to expect. Like I knew that you had done stuff with bands before, but like I really had never like heard you sing or anything. Yeah. And I'm not so concerned whether or not you can sing. It's, can you actually write a song? And that's something that I've come across with a lot of people that I've been in bands with. It's like, I've been in bands with people that can play guitar, but they could play stuff that other people wrote. It's like, right. Can you actually write something? It's a different thing. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to make a track and I'm just going to send it over and I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah.
And like, I had no idea what to expect. And then whenever you had sent something back and you were like, hey, here's a track back with vocals recorded, even though it was just like you playing it, on your computer and then recording the microphone, that was still like, that showed like, no, whatever it takes sort of like mentality, like, okay, I know that this isn't the best, but I want to be able to show something. Right. And it was like a whole ass song that was like written and done. And this was like in like a week period between like me starting something, sending it to you, you working on it, sending it back. Like it happened really fast. And it was like, holy shit, like we could totally do this, because like it was like really cool to see that you had an understanding. This might sound like dumb to people that are musicians, but like the basic idea of like, oh, like, because I sent you a full track that had like intro, verses, choruses, bridge, everything. Like it was a fully structured song, and like you wrote pretty much appropriately to everything. I think there was with every single song, there's been things where it's like, hey, like I should shorten this, or like, hey, you should extend that, or like, we move things around. So, it wasn't like 100% done whenever you sent it back, obviously, but there was enough of it there. It was like, wow, like it's really cool that Indigo listened to this, wrote this. It's catchy. It makes sense. It follows the format. And like, we could totally make something happen. I was hoping something would happen, but I also wasn't expecting it to, because much like you, I'm a person that a lot of people come to with ideas like, hey, we should do this. Let's try this. Let's try that. And also I kind of I bite off more than I can chew a lot too, because I'm always like, hey, we should do this. Yeah. Let's try this out. That's how this whole fucking project happened. Yep. But thankfully it did, because it's actually become like, it was super refreshing for me as somebody that had been, kind of, I wouldn't say in a rut. I really enjoy all the other stuff that I do musically outside of this. Yeah. But this is just like so different. Yeah. And the other thing too, for some reason, if people are watching this that aren't like podcasts, they don't know my show, and they're maybe here for you or here because of the band. I also play in a heavy metal band, and I also have like a hip hop rock project that are way different than Some Faith. Yeah. But for both of those projects, like for the heavy metal band, I'm the front person. So like, I don't really contribute to the music at all outside of, like if we're at practice and I'm like, hey, you should try that this way, or do, like just little ideas, but I'm not really a songwriter for the band. Yeah. And then for the rap rock project, like I make all the beats and I kind of put everything together kind of in a similar way that we do for Some Faith. But I have other people that come in and they add their things to that afterwards. Right. I just kind of like, I start things out, and I also am the front person for that band as well. Yeah. So for this, it's cool to be able to compose something that's not rap, that's not metal, that I'm not like having to get on a microphone for, and I can kind of just like be in the back and produce, and just like, it's a different thing. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just happy it all happened, and I'm happy that we both I think we're both very similar people in a lot of ways. Like you're saying, like we both take off a lot more than we can chew, and do a lot of different projects at the same time. And we also just have a lot of similar interests, I think, which has made this easy, I think, too. I think that's another part of it, is just that on a more personal level, you and I just like have a lot in common and gel as friends, I think. And I think that helps, because it makes practice, like, like I was saying, like it makes it go easy. It makes it fun. Because most of the time we're just kind of like, well, not most of the time, we do lots of work, but we're like always keeping it light and goofy.
It's so miserable being in a band with people you don't get along with. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is, like, if you're in a band with 3 or 4 other people, sometimes even more, depending on how wacky the band is, right, there could be one person in that band and you cannot get along with them, but it can still function. Right. But in a situation like this, where it's just
we would have to get along.
Yeah, I know. We have to be pretty much, on the same page. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't have to like MGK, and you don't have to like, if like maybe I send you some weird heavy metal shit every once in a while.
Like, I've liked everything you've sent me. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
But
I'm just a curmudgeon. But I will go back. I will say I appreciate the MGK. Okay. I'm glad that he's doing that. I feel like it's so much more him, but less of him, more of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, that's the thing, is like, I've been in groups before that we haven't put out any music or gotten to this kind of point, because they've not worked out for a multitude of reasons. And so it's been a real pleasure being able to make music with someone that is also as like eager and determined to make it happen. And also, for any of you that don't know, Brian is just like a really good person. And yeah, I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot. But like, seriously, as a femme person in music, I've been involved in booking, running venues, performing on a multitude of levels. And one thing that is really hard about the music scene that I know plenty of people talk about, but I still feel like we don't talk about it enough, is that it is so male dominated. And a lot of the times it's like just rampant with toxic masculinity. And there's so many times that I've been put down by men in the music scene, told that I don't matter because I'm just a vocalist and I don't play any instruments or anything like that, like, oh, you don't matter, or you aren't smart or you're not doing enough or something like that, and I would say that this is one of the first times that I feel that I ever felt really comfortable making music with someone, because there was never a point where I felt nervous or like I was being talked down to or anything like that. And it was just so refreshing. And I hope that more female vocalists or non-male vocalists, non-binary people as well, are able to work in an environment where they are valued and they are given space. And I think that it's just important that we are able to hold these spaces for non-cis het men, because it's really hard out here. And I think there's so many talented people that never get into music or get into performing or putting out their music because somebody's talked down to them. Somebody's told them that they didn't matter or that they weren't talented enough or XYZ weren't pretty enough, all these kinds of things. And yeah. And if anyone ever wants to talk about it, reach out to me, because I got a lot of feelings and I'm sure you do too. And we can just hug after COVID, probably for safety reasons. We can virtual hug.
I mean, for me, it's always been, I guess for me, I don't feel fortunate because of this, because I don't feel like it's anything special. But over time, I've maybe started to realize that maybe it is special in the way that I was brought up around music and the things that I was exposed to and just what I was generally listening to. Because like, for me, it was never been awkward or weird that there was, female or female presenting or whatever people like in the music scene, even in alternative music, because like I was listening to, when I was growing up, there was, heavy metal bands and punk bands with, girls and guys and blacks and whites and all this. Like, it was just like, it was always like a mixture of everything for me, just because like, that's just what, I don't know. Like, I didn't seek it out. I just always saw it. But as I've gotten older, there's a lot of people that are like, you start to hear these stories in the scene, and it's like, like, fuck, it sucks to hear that people have to deal with that. And it's like, and in a way too, like, I'm not comparing my experience to anybody, but I've been told pretty much all the same things you've been told, even as my normal ass.
Right.
But the thing is, it's like, there are some people that are going to, talk down on people because they are girls. Right. And there's also going to be people that are talking down on me just because like people are assholes in general. In general,
just mean.
So the point that I think that I'm trying to make here, kind of piggybacking on your comments, for anybody that is watching this that feels like there isn't a place for you in the scene, no, there isn't a place in the scene for people that are going to talk down on you. And trust me, those people are not going to be around very long, because they never last.
Yeah,
those people will never last.
It catches up with them.
They either get bored and move on to the next thing, or it does catch up with them. And I never want anything terrible to happen and people to get called out. Not because it's not because I don't want people to get called out. I just don't want the things that happen that make people get called out to happen.
Yeah.
Does
it would just be great if abuse didn't happen in the music scene.
That would be great.
It would just be great if we could all be kind to each other and keep each other safe.
It is important to, I think that it's, it's really easy sometimes, like if your whole bubble is a music thing, to think like, oh, like, you know, like abuse is a problem in the music scene, or what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, you know, toxic masculinity is a problem in the music scene, or sexism is a problem in the music scene. Like, these are just problems in general that bleed into the music scene, because music is just a part of life. And these are parts of, so it's like, you know, don't think so negatively of your scene because there are bad people in it. Do what you can to get those people out. Because I guarantee you there are more people that want to help you and see you succeed than see you fail. And if they're not, then like you're just in the wrong circle of people. And I don't know, come hang out with us. I don't know what to do. It's just, it's, I mean, that's the other thing too, is it is completely possible for some people to just get caught in a web of shitty people, regardless of how it might be a small web, but they do exist. Yeah. But this is a conversation that I'm not qualified to talk about. I'm not a fucking social expert on any level. I just make weird music. But don't feel alone. There's no reason to feel alone.
Don't feel alone. I think one important thing for sure is that, I mean, the classic Jenny Holzer, our abuse of power comes as no surprise. Like, I think the problem in the music scene, and there's been a lot of conversations about it recently, with a lot of call outs in like California and New York music scene, is that the problem is a lot of the times that like some men get this like God complex, because when you're on stage and there's people cheering for you and adoring you, it's easy. And once again, it's not always men, but with a lot of the call outs recently, it was, you know, but it's like, in those cases, a lot of them admitted that it was like, you know, when you're up there and you feel so powerful, you feel like you can just do whatever you want. Doesn't matter if she's underage, doesn't matter if X, Y, Z, you know, and I think that's part of the problem. I think that it's something I've been seeing a lot about recently with everything that's going on about, you know, we need to kill our idols. We need, like, not actually kill, but like, you know, we need death of the ego. We need to stop having this idea of celebrities. We need to just treat people like people and respect each other. And I think that if we can break that down and stop turning it into this whole idol complex, then we can be so much better off. If we can just learn to treat each other as friends, then it won't be like, oh, well, I guess like you're this big, powerful music person and I have to listen to you or do what you say or think what you are saying is true. It's just like, no, you and I are just people and you're saying this and I don't have to do what you're saying type of thing. And I think that it's just important that we just start to love ourselves more and break down all of the fame, I suppose, because it's just, at the end of the day, they're people and we're people, and it shouldn't be so complicated.
Yeah, there's, I mean, people are terrible, but simultaneously, like, can be so good. The only problem is that, like, in this subculture, right, this alternative, the only problem with the alternative subculture is that it attracts the worst of the worst. And there's this interesting thing that I've had to come to terms with over the course of, like, honestly, the last half of my life. You know, I mean, today is my birthday. I am 35 years old today. Happy birthday to me. So, I mean, like, literally since I was 17, like getting ready to turn 18, moving out, like I got kicked out of my mom's house pretty much. Well, kicked out / like, it's a complicated story. We're at a position now where my mom's probably watching this, so I don't want her to feel bad. That's a whole nother fucking can of worms. Another product of the alternative subculture, I suppose. But it comes to this point where you understand that, like, oh, you know, like, I like punk music. I like metal music. I like hardcore. I like, all of these different things that like attract shitty people. It's like very akin to, so Stacy, who we've mentioned a few times now, used to be a store manager at a Hot Topic. She was a store manager at 2 different Hot Topics, actually. And one of the things that she had issues with was there was a lot of people that basically wanted to work there because that's the place you can work with tattoos. You can have piercings, you can have tattoos, and they don't always take into consideration if they do get hired that it is a job. And it's not really any different than working at the Abercrombie across the hall or whatever. It's still, you have to work.
Right.
And in a silly way, you can apply that to life because there are people, it's like, just because you're, covered in tattoos or you do this or that or dress a certain way doesn't mean that you still can just abandon all responsibility and like lack of morality for yourself and the people around you.
Yeah.
But there are people that are in our culture that do that and they gravitate towards this because there is this like really negative thing where it's like, sex, drugs, rock and roll is a big part of the stuff that we love. Yeah. But also it's like, I don't have a problem with sex, drugs, or rock and roll, like on the grand scheme of things, but I'm a mature, responsible person who is kind and empathetic and understanding of other people. I'm not like, I'm not out to get anybody, but those people do exist and they exist in this culture, probably a lot more than other cultures. But I mean, there are people that are lawyers or stockbrokers and things that are also shitty people. Shitty people are everywhere.
Our president.
But it can be difficult to acknowledge, like, you get a little bit older and it's like, just because, both of us like Paramore, just because both of us have Ninja Turtles tattoos, just because both of us, dress a certain way or at the same show, that doesn't mean that we are the same people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, once again, it just comes down to like there is potential for us to just be kind to one another and take care of each other. I mean, that's the basis of community care and mutual aid. And I think that if we just take the time to strengthen our communities and focus on support and ways to move through these kinds of situations in a healthy way, we'd just be so much better off. And it'll take a lot of work. I mean, that's the thing, is that's why it hasn't been done yet, is it will take a lot of work to undo all of the hierarchies that we've built into these communities. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to take a long time. And a lot of people don't want to get into that because they know how much work it's going to be. But at the end of the day, I think it's important. And I think the best way to tackle it is to just start small and start within yourself. And I think that, like with you, like I think that the more like cis het white men that we can have that are cognizant of their privilege and are kind, welcoming people, the better. If we can take people that have the privilege and power and make sure that they're making space for other people and being kind and welcoming instead of abusing their power, the better. We need to use our privilege where we can to make space for those who need it and to keep each other safe. And yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. It's just got to take teamwork.
Yeah, I think that the concept of all of this can seem really overbearing because it does feel overbearing for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel the things that I have done to help people feel comfortable around me aren't things that I went out of my way to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not saying this just to say it, but it's just like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And I don't go out of my way to be nice I've never gone out of my way to like give any buddy space, regardless of who they are or where they come from. It's just like, oh, like it seems like this is a good thing to do because of like where I grew up, the people that I had in my life and things like that. And I think that ultimately there are little things that you can do just in your life, just like the way you talk to people, the way you talk about things with other people around you that is going to affect and create a domino effect. It's like, nobody's like expecting you to be the person that changes the world. And I think that whole like death of the ego thing that you were just talking about, when a lot of people get all these responsibilities thrown on me, it's all like, well, what am I supposed to do about this? Well, it's like nothing. You're not really supposed to do anything about this because realistically, you can't do anything about this. But what you can control is the way that the people in your immediate circle are thinking and reacting to this, and just like have conversations, be positive. If you can do a little bit more and take time out of your day or take time out of your financial resources to allocate to something, you could do that. But also just like, start within you and just be kind to the fucking people around you. It's so, for a long time, and I brought this up recently, I think on the show. I don't know if it was on the show or if it was just with somebody, but for a long time, I used to say that it's so much harder to be an asshole than it is to be nice, until I started really understanding what it takes to be empathetic. And now I definitely understand why so many people are assholes, because it's a lot of work. It's emotionally draining if you actually open up yourself to understanding what other people are going through. Yeah. And I think that's why so many people avoid it.
Yeah. You cry a lot and then your body hurts from all the crying. I'm a Cancer cusp. I know. Yeah. I'm not a full Gemini, and I'll call myself out on it.
Yeah. I know that we're not, there's a lot that could be talked about. There's a lot that we will probably get into personally at some point in time. Maybe we will come back here at some point in time, but we have well hit our hour.
Oh no. It felt like we were getting close.
Yeah, we have definitely been chatting probably longer than most people are able to afford, because they have other things to do. They have to talk to people about their feelings instead of listening to ours. Right?
That's true.
Everybody has to go out there and make their lives better.
Yeah, you don't want to hear us talk this long.
But
if you do,
in a week,
then you have this.
There is this. And in a week, again,
yes,
A Lesson in Patience will be available on all streaming services. And on Friday, October 30th, we haven't set a time, so we're just going to have to set a time now. 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Come to our show.
Devil's Night.
Come to our show. 8
on
p.m.
Facebook.com.
Devil's Night.
/SomeFaith666. You could follow us on all social media platforms. That would be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you're like one of those people that uses Twitter.
Twitter just makes me sad as an empath.
Twitter's rough, but we have one. Feel free to reach out to us on there.
Brian has to run it. I can't do it.
And we also have a YouTube account. We can't set our YouTube username until we have 100 subscribers. We're at like 78 right now.
So close.
So we're getting close. So if you have a YouTube account, please subscribe to us. So if anything, our YouTube, we could say youtube.com/somefaith666 instead of
so much easier.
Instead of youtube.com/ like XYQW4XW400.
And letters, it's just key smashing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody that is a musician or a promoter of some sort should be empathetic to our struggles here in terms of that. This is a very new project. I mean, we've only been releasing music since September, or was it August?
Yeah, it was September 1st.
September 1st, we released Pain as a Purpose. So,
so it's only been a month and a half. Well, I guess it'll be about 2 months. About
2 months we've been releasing stuff. And so the first EP is going to be out next week. We have the second half. I'll say it. It's already done.
Yeah. Technically it is.
But
we're going to make you wait for it. We're going to make you sweat and wait and long and yearn for it.
No, we're just taking our time.
We're going to make you yearn for it. It's the queer way. I'm going to make you yearn for it.
So, I have weird. I've never been on a podcast or hosted a podcast where I was going to ask. I was like, well, why don't you shout out your things? Because I shouted out mine, but my things are your things. However, you have some stuff that you do outside of Some Faith. Tell the people about it real quick.
I have some other things. Yes. Are you going to do it every time?
No.
Okay. I have other things. I am, I'm just like watching. I'm waiting for you to do the sound effects. I love being a cartoon. I have some other things. I am, one of the owners of the Black Cat Market, which is a cat rescue. Easiest way to say it would be cat cafe, but essentially what we do is we adopt out cats and make it in a way that you can come and meet them and hang out with them for cat therapy as well. I am also one of the owners of Mod's Paper Wing Gallery, which has a storefront coming soon, and we're really excited. So check us out on social media. Wow. I'm also on the board of directors at the Mr. Roboto Project.
Excellent.
Which is a super cool venue that's been around for like over 20 years now. Safe space. We're here for you. That's actually where we filmed our music video for Liminal. And and I also I would say book shows with, but we are unable to do that at this time with Don't Let the Scene Go Down on Me Booking Collective. But one thing we are doing is we've been working to do some live stream shows, and also we do a weekly playlist that we curate. If you are always looking for new music to listen to, you can check that out. It's only going to be MGK right now. I'm joking. It's only MGK and 80s music for me, and then Brett puts on whatever he wants to put on. And I think that's it. Maybe this band, Some Faith. Did we even say the name?
Yeah.
Okay. We're in a band
the
called
name's
Some
going to
Faith.
be on the title of the episode.
Perfect. We're in a band. And also I bake and love animals. Is that enough?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I feel like it's unnecessary to say this, but for anybody, again, watching this that is a friend of Indigo or just a new fan or a new discoverer of Some Faith and you're still here, you have no idea who I am. I play in a band called Greywalker. That is my metal band, and the rap rock band that I was talking about is now called Normal Creatures. However, if you look up anything on Normal Creatures, you're not going to find much because all of our music has been released under the name Sykes and the New Violence. However, we have recently changed that band name, and a new album is coming out at the end of the year because at the same time that I've been working on this, I have been recording a whole album with that project as well.
How does he do it? We'll never know.
That was the wrong button.
He's amazing, except that he doesn't know how to work buttons.
And that is all, folks. Indigo, myself, Some Faith, thanks for being here. I'll be back again next week. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat. 2020. Whoop whoop. Thanks for listening. And we're done. Goodbye, but not goodbye, because we're going to open up another beer and look at these photos that we just took.
We have photos to look at.
And you don't know what they are.
And you don't know what they are. They're secret photos.